Hello. It's been a while since I made a moon video. As promised, though, I am going to be trying to make more videos more regularly. And my intention was to start with the Aries new moon, which is not the next one that we'll have, but the one after that, because it's the beginning of the astrological calendar. But this is kind of a test run. I was feeling fancy, so I figured I'd see what shakes out. So this video is about the Virgo full moon, which we will be having on Saturday, February 27th. We'll have the moon in Virgo opposite the sun in Pisces. Those are both mutable signs. That means that they are changing. They're in between seasons. It's like, right now, Pisces season is kind of like the end of winter and then the beginning of spring. So kind of a transitional thing, but it's like, we want to plant our seeds, but then we're going to get a frost, stuff like that. So we are experiencing some very interesting stuff with all of these mutable signs. So not only are we dealing with Virgo and Pisces, but the full moon is creating a grand cross with the lunar nodes right now, which have been in Sagittarius and Virgo since last summer. So that's all the mutable stuff. If you have anything in any of those signs, you're getting a heavy dose right now. But this moon is really beautiful. It's got a lot of support. We've got Venus hanging out, and we have the ruler of both the sun and the moon. Sun is in Pisces, so ruled by Jupiter, and then Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So those two are hanging out in Aquarius, which is where, this whole month we've had tons of planets hanging out, and I've begun calling it the Aquarian agenda. So what we're dealing with right now is definitely another aspect of the Aquarian agenda. And the Aquarian agenda is really about progress. So, and I think that we've all kind of seen that on some level, kind of snowballing over the past year, I'll say. And we've gotten to a point where we're like, all right, let's actually do the thing. So one of the myths that's related to Aquarius is the story of Prometheus. And Prometheus was he's charged with having taken fire from the gods and given it to man. And so think about that. Like, what would humans be doing without fire? It was essential for, keeping us from freezing and also being able to cook. So there are certain things that we've evolved to be able to do because of fire. And so, this was kind of an act of hubris, and the gods were very unhappy with Prometheus. But Prometheus was like, I just want to help my man, like my men, they're my peeps. He wasn't a man, he was a god. But I think about this a lot because we have, like, the idea of Aquarius is so hopeful and bright and like focused on humankind and like really supporting humanity and brotherhood and sisterhood and all of the hoods, but there's also like this kind of shadow side of like, where does that come from? So like, what are we moving out of? What have we cast aside so that we can have what we think the future is supposed to look like? So that's kind of echoed also in the fact that we're dealing with a full moon right now. We began this cycle in September of last year at the Virgo full moon. So, if the new moon, if the new moon is where we are planting a seed, then the full moon is where that seed has finally, it's bearing fruit. So it's at full ripeness. And what happens after that is the fruit falls off the tree. So the new moon is a time to plant, and the full moon is a time to recognize, like, oh, what did I plant then? And then also, after that realization, it's a time to let go of whatever that was that you figured out. So I really feel like we kind of moved from, maybe there was a situation that became very apparent at that time back in September that we were dealing with in more of an intellectual, like thinking, logical manner. And now we've kind of recognized that around the time of the Sagittarius, in Sagittarius season, around the time of the eclipses that we had, it was kind of a turning point of like, oh, I actually feel this very deeply. I can intuit my way through this in a sense. And that probably doesn't resonate with everyone. So, it's not for you. It's not for everyone. It's okay. But I think that a lot of people on a grand scale have been really moving into a more feeling connected state of like, where is my inner truth? And then how is that reflected in the world outside of me? So now we've come to realize through this process of living in a more intuitive state with it, that there are certain things that we've been doing for a long time that have kept us from really appreciating ourselves, really valuing our own experiences and our own needs and putting that out. And so this is a moment for us to really like take a look at that and say, hey, is there anything that I'm holding, like any ways of conducting myself, any patterns that I have been living through that are keeping me from living in my fullest integrity and like really understanding and speaking my truth? And it's not easy work to do that. It's I think we've kind of reached this point of like, well, now I know, and I actually have to act on that. And we've had, over the past month, we've had Mercury retrograde in Aquarius and all of the planets in Aquarius, just like really helping us to align with what we want things to look like, and looking back at ways that we've kind of like kept ourselves from getting the ideal version of the world that we want to live in. And so with this, we're kind of in a more fluid state. So this is a time to not really attach to a specific goal or outcome. We're kind of still in the process of figuring out, kind of molding our experience. And this is not the, I know what I'm going to do and I'm going to go for it moment. This is the, I'm figuring out where I stand moment. And like I said, it's been a process. So we've already kind of come through a lot of that, but this is a moment where we're really figuring it out. So this moon it's so much about our ability to like really enjoy the senses. It's a very sensual moon with Venus in Pisces in its exaltation. So when a planet is exalted, it's not in its rulership, but it is in a place where it almost has like more magical powers. So Venus in Pisces, very dreamy, very romantic, very mystical. There is a lot going on around the heart and the ideal romance. And I would say that there may be some things coming on the scene right now that feel like, wow, I didn't know I could I didn't know I could ever feel this way. And that is so, so amazing. And I am really happy if that's what you're experiencing. I I just want to make sure that we're not tying our rope or tying our boat to a dock that is moving, because that's kind of what mutable signs are. It's like there's the ability to go either way. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing, but it's not necessarily the most grounded place to build from. It's not the stable place to dock your boat, you know? So, yeah, if you come back to it later, it might not be there. So, with this, I encourage you to really enjoy the flowing experience of this moon and the also the preparation of parsing through what is still usable and what really needs to go so that you can hold space and create the future and the life that you want. I think that's all I want to say about that. If you would like to find out more about how this affects you personally, book a reading with me. For every sign, when it is your sun sign season, we are currently in Pisces. That is February 18th till March 20th. If your birthday falls within those dates, then you will receive 11% off your reading for the month. So get in touch with me. I would love to hear from you. You can also find me on Instagram at Heart Path Wellness.